DCarsonCPA on the Empire Lines. The Empire Lines are very important. They provide a strong foundation, the base from which we grew strong knowledge to help on needs, on financials, on accounting, on taxation, on compliance, and many other points. At this point, we've evolved a lot, but we started with the Empire Lines. We started to think about our position in New York State, New York City, how the experience had helped us to grow, the types of good exposure we'd had, and the basis of a difference of experience coming from a suburban and rural side and then coming into the city and mapping in all that experience, the ability to see both the rural and the countryside, and as well as seeing the city life, which are two different things. In an international and global metropolis, international capital of trade, of diversity, and of the richness of human capital, the intellect of people power potential, people from all nations working in New York City, coming from all over the world to break ground, to make their way, to build a legacy and to pursue the American dream. We're strong in this, and we want to support in every way the American dream and the lines for opportunity, the belief that we're all here for an opportunity to build something a little better, to become something greater, and to work with the systems and the pathways that we have to define something better, a present and a future that's better for tomorrow, and not to look into a future that's not about improvements, but to use all the knowledge collected to find pathways to support improvements at every level. This is the difference of DCarsonCPA, is that we work in deep lines of strategic thought, societal thought, about the ways that things connect together. In the economy, from end to end, we all connect on financials, and everywhere financials connect, there's a framework of macro and micro financials, legal, technology, communications, and the cross-sector stakeholder groups of industry, NGOs, nonprofits, government, and individual families seeking to work their way as the ultimate stakeholders to find the opportunity lines to the American dream, to prosperity, and to renewed growth. So in every way, DCarsonCPA is a support line to economic growth and full recovery. The Empire Lines are part of the engines for growth and recovery, and we're going to walk through the lines, and we're going to talk about the strong root of the foundation. The root of the foundation of this tree is a root to the foundation of the tree of liberty. An opportunity to build with that knowledge that is central to the organization and to our foundation, to help define lines and to help stay connected to the vision of a dream, of a past, of a future, and of a present that's strong and connected to the roots of what we are when we all come together, what that means, and the honor and the knowledge of generations of proud service to who we are together and what that means on growth. That's not something that everyone will easily connect with, but when you think about it, you'll understand in context that our commitment to help on the lines at every point is rooted to the foundation of a strong pride. Pride in the nation, pride in the state, pride in the city, and pride in the opportunity lines where we all connect in a global economy. Because the fact is that in New York City, in the Empire Lines, the diversity lines are global lines of people from around the world with a good idea of how to come together, to work together, and to build pathways to growth. That doesn't mean that everything's perfect. Doesn't mean that our experience in the Empire Lines is always perfect. There are always problems. Wherever you have people working to get things done, wherever you have force factors of financials, needs, wants and needs, limited resources, that is a place where there will be challenges. But the opportunity to work with the challenges is to ground to that central point. We all are here for the opportunity to build and grow and to pursue our pathways to be the best that we can be. So without further ado, let's launch into the Empire Lines. The kind of off-point line was to let you know that this is a line that's rooted to pride in who we are in New York City and New York State and in the nation. So this line is about building and growth for the American dream. Our support line to the American dream works with financials, talking about accounting, financials, taxes, compliance, and the ways that we all connect in the broad economy through the legal, through the communications, and through the cross-sector lines, because basically that creates the ecosystem. So New York City is a microcosm of a bigger ecosystem, but because New York City is international, it's global, and it's a great place to learn and grow, and that would lead you back to the lines of why we came to New York to grow. Our ancestors had originally been in New York City when it was New Amsterdam. That means that for plenty of years we've been here, been a part of things, can reach back to generations that had served in the major conflicts and had always given something of themselves for the growth of the nation. So this is the importance of these lines here, which have a strong sense of commitment, not only to the entity lines, but to the individual, family, and stakeholder lines for our future, who we are together in teamwork and what we can make of it. The best that it can be is through the lines where we work together in pursuit of prosperity and growth, and to think together about ways we can work together on teamwork for improvements across the divides, to meet in the middle and think about the power of diversity as a strength. Our differences in backgrounds produce different ways to see things. Those different ways to see things are strength in the aggregate. Bring it together, find DCarsonCPA. We are a support line that embraces diversity for the power that it brings to the economy. It is the power of the melting pot, and nowhere, like in New York City, will you find that power of so many different people coming together, working together, and find ways to grow. That stated, it all still needs to root strongly to the values of who we are on teamwork and to the foundation, and to how we grow and evolve with the foundation that was set with originality to think about the value of each individual, the manifest truths of the individuals, the equality of man, and the goodness of man, and the opportunity that we all had, full of value. So in support of that value, DCarsonCPA, the Empire Alliance, is a solution set. It's a solution set that works with global, national, state, regional, and local research on the economy and financials to help strengthen your role. In New York City, it's an amazing place, a knowledge capital. There's so much learning in New York City, both in the formal lines of education and in the lines of humanity and where we relate with communications, the different languages, the richness of the fiber that expresses where we come together is strength for what we bring on value. So we map that all in and we think about who do we support. When we started the lines, we came from financial sector lines, we came from a line with New York City government experience volunteering in the comptroller's office, and then we had some other experience, just life's experience from different sectors, and a family that worked both in technology, in health, and one that worked in financial services, and much more. There was some really rich fabric, and we are grateful and appreciative of that rich fabric that makes us who we are, part of the melting pot, and able to use that strength. Now there's something that in order to really understand the hidden formula of the Empire Lines, what you have to understand is that we take for granted the established lines. So these lines of where we come in and where we've had the gift for a long time, the gift of the American dream, the pathway, and we take that for granted. What you need to do is put that aside. You need to forget about everything that you've taken for granted, and you need to put it on the shelf. You need to think about that there are people in the world, in the economy, with these small tools, like this cell phone that I'm using to shoot this video, like the internet, like the cloud, and they will use that to feed people, to find ways to bring energy to communities. They'll use it to solve the challenges with water, with agriculture, and many things in a global economy. And there are people that will take the leanest, the things of the least, of the land that you think could produce the least, but because they're in an emerging market, because they're in a place where you just don't have that much, they will work their fingers to the bone in the hardest of ways to build things and make something out of nothing. And it's that type of spirit that re-energizes the melting pot. It's that type of spirit of coming in and saying, we can do this and we will find a way. We will open the store. We will make it work. From your bodega up to the bigger lines, this is all about the melting pot. So I want to run through this very quickly. We look to the cross-sector stakeholders. We talked about industry, NGOs, nonprofits, individuals, families, and communities. Why? Because we all connect in societal framework. We're all stakeholders in financials and where we meet on the immediate levels of the entity responsibilities to deliver financials, accounting, taxation, and compliance, and on the individual role of taxation. And as you see entities, you also must think that entities have a corresponding responsibility back to individuals and families as the ultimate stakeholders. For remember that an entity does not vote. It is the individuals and families, and yet the individuals and families are dependent on entities because entities are the engines of growth that provide jobs and opportunities. And we talk about small business. We're not getting enough support, but perhaps in the aggregate, these lines can help to talk about what are the things that make small business work in New York? How can we help? And we hope that part of the power that we bring through in the Empire Lines, which you can find on any search, DCarsonCPA, the Empire Lines, will be units of knowledge, of strength to help you think in a critical way how to help the economy around you. Because most of us begin thinking about our taxation, the debits and the credits, the deductions and credits on our tax returns, but we forget about these important policy lines. And the policy lines are the ones that bind societal lines. Financials support strategic and operational objectives where we all meet. The executive, judicial, and the legislative, showing the House and the Assembly here, repeating at the New York City level, repeating at other states and regions, and then repeating in Albany, and then up at the federal level. All this stuff rolling up from the New York City level to New York State, to the surrounding regions and whatnot. These are points where we can help. So we've spoken about diversity and the strength of it. Diversity and the strength in New York City is all these different people with great knowledge from around the world, the strength of different languages to look at things in different ways, makes the melting pot, and especially New York City, a very interesting place where you can gain strength and knowledge just by going out and talking to someone. You can reach another part of the world with a totally different way of thinking and bring that back as strength. The idea is to root it back to the power of the empire lines and to think about who we are together on teamwork as a nation, because that knowledge comes in, but it binds to the framework of the American dream and what we do together. Okay, now here you come in. We've got economics and statistics. That's a function of how government connects with individuals, with families, with industry, and the institutions that are industry, nonprofits, NGOs. We have the UN here. Of course, that's a global line that goes out to the world. It's an understanding of how other international lines work. It's also a powerhouse to think about trade lines. That knowledge that is international is a support line for international trade and growth. We'll talk about the lines of industries that we support under DCarsonCPA. We rooted to financials. We support the legal industry. We support government. We support health. We support energy. We support nonprofits. We support agriculture, which is found more commonly in upstate, but we're here to help. We have that knowledge. We support retail shops. They're everywhere and everywhere you go. In New York City, we support restaurants. I'm sorry, I'm reading at the same time I'm doing this. We support education, the fine educational institutions of higher learning with knowledge that can help solve problems in many different ways across many different skills. That's something we really love about New York City. The hospitality industry of the hotels, and the entertainment lines, the transportation lines. We have a city that runs on transportation. We have taxis, we have buses, we have trains and all that. So transportation is a huge part of the economy, as is waste management, environmental. That's part of it too, where we can help. Thinking about the environmental lines, because we have so much, we take it for granted, but we have water all around us. And if we take care of the environment the right way, we can clean that water up, have good recreation and good aquaculture to sustain New York City for the future. It's one of the lines we get passionate about and helping out on, and part of that is responsible stewardship, making sure that the stormwater overflows are properly managed. Those lines are deep and wide. We have so much knowledge about New York City, New York State, the federal lines and the international lines that we'd like to share with you and map to your business. We've built these lines over 5 years. They're deep lines of economic research where economics, statistics, financials, legal, communications, the cross-sector stakeholders all connect with the value line to help on the economy. I'm Dean Carson. Check out our real estate lines. The other lines listed here are media, arts, entertainment, looking at construction lines, real estate, maritime, and sports. These are the empire lines. It's just the beginning, so we're going to have to come back and do much more. But I'm Dean Carson, CPA. Find the empire lines. They're all about supporting your business in New York City, New York State, or your individual family lines, your NGO, nonprofit, or governmental lines. We're a solution set, here to work with financials, here to help you succeed through understanding your financials and how they can help drive success in the economy and financials. Thank you. I'm Dean Carson.